Welcome to Next Play. We're your hosts, Owen and Kate. We're going to be doing a new podcast called Next Play, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about athletes' successes and failures on the mental side of things, but I'll let my mom kind of go over and dive a little bit more into that.
Yes, I know it's weird to have you call me Kate, so we'll stick with Mom as we move forward. This comes from and originated the idea of doing a podcast because we have a company called Pure Sports Mindset, where we work with athletes from 12 to 25, all different ranges from beginners up to Division I athletes, and focusing on skill training around breathing, feedback loop, mindfulness, and visualization. We teach them skills, 3 to 5 minute skills, and do one-on-one coaching. We also work with teams and work with coaches on really implementing these skills into the game so that athletes can get to that performance flow. It's something that really the company was born out of. I'm a psychotherapist and run a private practice. And so this division got inspired from my work with athletes, having 4 athlete children, being around it my whole life, and wanting to give back and help athletes really minimize kind of the suffering and the mental part of the game that can be really tricky for all athletes. I don't care who you are and at what level. There'll be a point in an athlete's career where they're struggling. So that's the point of really, or where we originated this idea and wanted to start a podcast to hear stories. We're so both inspired by the stories of athletes and their challenges and their successes, and feel like it can be really helpful to continue to bring this to light and focus on the part that is often doesn't get enough attention. Don't you agree, Owen? Like there's not enough attention on the mental side of the game. And yeah, go ahead.
Definitely, definitely not talked about enough.
That's what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think. And so I know it's an interesting combination, an old lady and her young kid, but we both come at it from different ways. So we're trying to give perspectives from, me as a former athlete. I like to still think I am. And Owen, who's just, a year out of it and very connected to athletes and their struggles. And hopefully that perspective, him and I, on top of us, getting athletes, will give you guys an inside look at the mental side that's becoming more and more important to success and to getting to the next level, I would say. So we'll be doing it once a month. It'll be a 30-minute podcast. We're going to have a bunch of different athletes on there, and we look forward to hearing their stories.
Yeah, but I can give a little bit of background so my mom has some credibility on her athletic career.
It's so bad.
So going back to high school, 3-sport athlete. I like to give her a little bit of a hard time because 3 of her 5 siblings went Division I, and she was one of the 2 that didn't. But other than that, no, she was a pretty good athlete. She won state actually. Her senior year of basketball, she didn't touch the floor at all, so we don't fully count it, but still somewhat impressive.
We count it. We count it. I hit a 3-pointer. Let's add that. Oh, come on. We were up 30, but I still hit a buzzer beater. And so they do like to make fun of me. That's accurate. And not
to her credit, her athletic career I feel like took off later in her life. I will say she is a beast at running. I like to give her grief sometimes that I can beat her in races, but I can't come close. She runs lots of marathons. I don't know if any of you guys know how hard that is, but yeah, she kills it doing that. So that's a little bit about her athletic career. Like I said, kind of picked up later in her life. And then I'll let her kind of tell you guys a little bit about mine.
Yeah. Okay. But before we do that, Owen, I really feel it's important for them to understand that you tried to keep up once. So we were on vacation, and this is an important interjection. And Owen really felt strongly that at any point in time, he could beat me in running. And so I was like, okay, now, I know you go ahead. It's true story, right?
True story.
And so I was ready. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Let's do I don't know what I said, but I said, let's go running. I knew that he wouldn't make it past 3 miles. And I want to say mile 2. Now I can't believe you're not
before we get into the story, we were on vacation and I was running off 4 hours of sleep, and then woke up and had 4 donuts, and then was almost forced to run. And it was 100 degrees outside. So, But yeah,
Well,
no. Again,
yeah,
she
okay, so
is
what
she is a
mile
good runner.
2?
So
At mile
yeah,
2, we were running a
gave up,
7:30
cramped.
pace. Yeah, you get cramped. That's right. Okay. So we do have to add that since it's true that I don't have an exciting athletic background. But Owen, his is much more exciting than mine. I'm just going to read it off because it's easier. So he was a 3-year varsity starter, 2-year team captain, won regionals as a sophomore, 2-time all area, all conference. And he was Chicago Sun-Times top 50 player in the state. He made me stop there, so I will.
Yeah.
But
That was for
yeah.
basketball, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's important to
Yeah.
know. Yeah, for
Yeah.
basketball. And he started actually probably my favorite story. So I have 4 kids. Owen's my third. He also played a semester in college. And so he always, since he was, I'm going to say 4, was playing something, always had a ball, a bat in his hand. And when I was running, he would come down, I'd be on the treadmill, and my dad had challenged him. It was how many? 100? How many times did you have to dribble?
I think it was I will say I always liked the shoes and the sunglasses. I'm a little bit of a flashy guy, so he would bribe me with you can get new shoes if you do 100 dribbles with your left hand. So there's no stopping until I got it. But
yeah, you were honestly 4 years old though. I mean, you were 4.
Yeah, no,
so you were little, and that was sort of your thing. And our relationship was, largely where I think I felt like so many moments of connection was during sports and traveling with you. And it was fun for me. And so hopefully we can tell more stories throughout the podcast here and there. And I have a couple of questions, a little get to know questions we're going to play. And my biggest question for you is, in your career, ups and downs, when did you realize that mental toughness or the mental aspect of the game was important? Let me say it that way. What moment, if you can think of one, did you go, yeah, the mental side really matters to my success or failure? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was lucky that it was at a young age. I don't think that happens for a lot of people, but track wasn't one of my main sports. It was kind of just like a little side thing that all my friends did. So I did it. We ended up being pretty good. We went downstate. Again, I wasn't really passionate about it. And to be honest, got super nervous before the races. So yeah, definitely wasn't my thing, but whatever. We went downstate. We were supposed to do all right. And then we were down there for two events, the 4x2 and the 4x4. And in the first event, I wiped out real bad, right in front of the tent where everyone's waiting. And it was state, so there's a lot of people there. Very, very embarrassing. And I then told everyone on my team, my mom, that I'm not gonna run the next event, which I needed to run, or else we would have our alternate running.
And you were bleeding everywhere. I mean, you were
it sucked. It sucked.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had an hour in between, and I was fully convinced that I was not going to do it. I wasn't going to run the next event. And then after kind of sitting in the car thinking about it a little more, just kind of digging deep, I knew all right, this is uncomfortable and it's going to suck. But I always kind of realized that when I did the things that I didn't want and pushed myself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, I always kind of got the most out of it. And then also a little convincing on my mom's side.
Reverse psychology, actually.
Yeah.
Because I said, I was like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it.
That's really what kind of made me run it. I didn't want my mom to baby me in the car. So I was like, once you said that, I was like, screw it, I'm running it. And then we ended up coming 4th in state, which we were definitely not supposed to come in at all. And I think that was kind of a mentality switch for me, just because I was so young, and it was kind of all right, I realized how much the mental game, played a factor in it. And that was kind of the turning point, I would say. And again, it was young, and there was a lot more lessons throughout my athletic career, but I'd say that was definitely the first time I kind of noticed. Yeah. So
adversity, right? I feel like it was the first time you had that kind of adversity, and every athlete hits it at some point. And, like you said, you were 12, and I think recognizing I can be embarrassed, right? And then what do I do with that embarrassment? So yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday, you coming down. I think it was your fastest time actually too. So
it was.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. And then just a follow-up question. what does mental toughness, like, how would you define it? I know that you've referenced
Yeah.
coaches and maybe it comes from that and your basketball, but if you had to define it, how would you define
Yeah,
mental?
I would say I kind of got a little bit better of an idea of mental toughness. My sophomore year was my favorite coach. By far, it was, getting comfortable at like being in uncomfortable situations. So that was something that I wasn't, like, who wants to be in an uncomfortable situation? It seemed like the craziest thing to me. Like, why would you want to do that? And once you kind of put that in our heads, like really kind of just embracing it and just, acknowledging the fear that comes with it and then just kind of saying F it, like, let's go do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I always found that I was the most successful when I just recognized, like, all right, I'm a little nervous right now. I'm uncomfortable, but then just literally taking a split second, just saying F it, let's go and let's do it. I think that's what mental toughness is to me. I know it looks different for everyone else, but for me, it's when I notice that fear and then just kind of say, screw it, let's go and
Yeah.
kind of find a way to just get around it, get it done.
Yeah. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that answer. I connect with that answer. I agree with you, actually. I think it's very much that. There's all these skills that we teach, obviously, as coaches, but I think I love the mantra, find a way. It was something I think, it's a good one. We use a lot of mantras. And so, what was your favorite mantra? Was it that one? Prove them wrong
yeah.
was
I
one.
think for me, yeah. Just like find a way. I know it
Yeah.
doesn't always need to be the prettiest way to get it done, but
Yeah.
just find a way. Yeah.
I love
But
that.
now
Yeah.
I got a question for you,
Okay.
Ma.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
We kind of joked around about her kind of non-impressive athletic career, but
Grandpa's going to be mad at that, just so you know. Like, he's
yeah,
coming at you for that comment.
obviously, it's pure sports mindset. We focus a lot about the mindset stuff. So I wanted to ask, like, how has the mental side of sports kind of affected other aspects, in your life outside of sports?
Outside of sports? Yeah, that's a great question. I ask my athletes that all the time too. Where else can they use it? I think for me, running, marathons is probably where I've then translated that into my career. In those moments, during a marathon, I want to quit so much. I'm dying, physically and mentally. I'm just waving in and out, right? And I've used that. I think sports are sort of a microcosm for life or a metaphor for life, right? You have good times and bad times and challenges and relationships. And I feel like in my career, this is also a second career for me, I've taken that mindset of like, try new things and be uncomfortable to steal your line kind of. So, and really to use, the skills, perseverance and my self-confidence has gone up. I think anytime you skill build, you're more confident. I am anyway. And I think that's true of most people. So the way that it's translated is that I have this confidence in doing something new later in my life as a second career and kind of applied it that way, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And just because I'm curious to hear your answer, how would you define mental
Mental
toughness?
toughness. I think I would define it as the ability to be in the moment. I know how difficult that is, and that performance flow, I think, is directly correlated with being in the moment. And you've said that to me actually when the games that I could see
Oh,
it,
100%. Yeah. That was not to cut you off, but that was something that
Okay.
I struggled with a lot. Especially those big games, big crowds. You feel those games where you're locked in and you're in the moment, and the games that you aren't. And that was something that I struggled with a lot when I played. So
Being in the moment all the time. Yeah. I mean, it's funny and you don't really always see it, right? Because
no,
I
definitely
felt
not.
right. Like I felt when I watched you were, and then afterwards you would tell me, and so it's weird. Like, I think that's what's going to be cool about this podcast is that there's this perception that somebody's tough and fearless. And yet you get them off the court or off the field and they'll tell you like, I was scared shitless and I didn't play my best or I wasn't in the moment. And so to me, that's mental toughness is like actually the ability to play physically, like very present. And, the whole point of this name of this podcast, next play is to move on. Right. I mean, you've said that like next play is something some of your coaches said. So I like that. And I think, that kind of sums up our little Q&A for each other. Do you want to tell them a little bit about what's next and what they can come to our next
Yeah.
guest? Yeah.
Yeah, so this was kind of just a short, little boring introduction for you guys, just so you kind of know a little bit about us. But next time, we're going to be in the following ones after that. We're going to have, like I mentioned earlier, a new athlete every time. Actually, our next episode is a Hall of Famer from Wisconsin, men's basketball player. And he'll be coming on and kind of telling us a little bit about his story. So in the meantime, you can check us out on Instagram. We post a lot of good content on there. And then just stay tuned for our next episode.
Absolutely. And our Instagram is Pure Sports
At Pure
Mindset.
Sports Mindset. Yep.
And or on our website too, puresportsmindset.com. So thanks for listening. And yeah,
Right.
take care.